She was not a person to them, just a pretty toy. The grand hall was made of black stone and gold. Alien nobles filled the room, their skin glowing blue under the soft lights. Music played from a floating orb, soft and cold. Laughter echoed, but it was not warm. They were celebrating the victory of their empire, another world taken, more lives crushed. She sat at the foot of the throne, not on a chair, not even on a cushion, just the floor, cold and hard. Her long silver hair touched the ground. Her soft purple skin shimmered under the lights. She wore thin silk that didn't warm her. Golden chains hung around her wrists, not tight but not free either. They called her it, never she, never by a name. "Bring the toy some wine," one noble said, chuckling. "Make it smile for the guests." A servant poured blue liquid into a glass and held it to her lips. She drank slowly. Her eyes were dull, not empty, but hiding. Deep inside, she still remembered freedom. But it felt like a dream now. Too far. Too broken. Her name was Lyra, but no one here spoke it. She had come from a peaceful moon, taken as a prize when the nobles conquered her home. She had screamed once, begged, fought. They laughed at her. They called her pretty, and said she was lucky to be chosen. After that, she stayed quiet. Tonight, a new guest had arrived. He was human. His name was Rook. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing dark clothing and a long coat. He stood near the throne, silent as the nobles talked. His eyes were sharp, watching everything. He didn't speak unless spoken to. Most thought he was boring, but Lyra saw something. When Rook entered the room, he didn't look at her like the others did. He didn't smirk. He didn't stare. He paused for just 1 second, then looked away as if ashamed. For the first time in weeks, her heart moved. Rook had been invited as a curious species, a soldier-turned-guest. The nobles wanted to show off their power to him. They wanted to impress a human, show him their art, their strength, and their pets. They showed him Lyra. "What do you think?" a noble asked, pointing at her. "Beautiful, isn't it? We keep the finest toys." Rook didn't answer at first. He looked at her quietly, then said, "She's not a toy." The room went silent. Then came laughter, loud and mocking. "Ah, humans and their weak hearts," another noble said. "Always pretending everything has value." Rook forced a smile. Just a thought, but inside his fists clenched. He had seen things during the war, seen how monsters treat the weak. But this was different. They weren't using machines or weapons. They were using humiliation, turning people into decorations. He watched her during the feast, how she never moved unless told, how she never spoke. Her eyes stared at nothing, but flicked toward him now and then. He waited. Hours passed. The nobles grew drunk. Music played louder. No one paid attention anymore. Rook moved closer to where she sat. He crouched, just enough to lower his voice. "What's your name?" he whispered. She didn't answer. "I know you have one," he said softer. "You're not it." Her eyes finally met his. Only for a moment. Then a whisper, so quiet, even he almost missed it. "Lyra." He blinked. "Lyra," he repeated. It was beautiful. It sounded alive. A sharp voice rang out. "Hey!" A guard stepped forward, big, armored, angry. "What are you whispering to the toy, human?" Rook stood, calm, just admiring the decor. The guard didn't buy it. He punched Rook hard in the stomach. The nobles cheered, clapping like it was a show. Rook fell to one knee, coughing but smiling. "Stronger than you look," he muttered. They laughed again and walked off. To them, it was nothing. Just another moment. Just another show. But Lyra stared at him differently now. He had taken a hit for her, and smiled. No one had done that before. That night, Rook stood on a balcony alone, watching the stars. He lit a small, Flame on a matchstick, a human habit. The fire danced for a moment, then died. They think she's a toy, he said to himself. But she's the match. They just don't see the fire yet. Behind him, Lyra watched from the shadows. She didn't move, didn't speak. But for the first time in a long time, she hoped. The human didn't look away, and that changed everything. The next day, the palace was quiet. Too quiet. No music, no loud laughter, no drunk nobles bragging, just soft whispers, like people didn't want to be heard. Something had changed. The human, Rook, sat alone in the palace gardens sharpening a knife, not for war, but as a habit. His mind wasn't calm. His muscles were tense. His eyes kept moving, watching shadows, watching the guards. He wasn't afraid. He was waiting. Inside, Lyra knelt in the grand hall once again, but today, her posture was different. She wasn't slouched. She wasn't empty. Her eyes searched for the human, and when they didn't find him, her heart beat faster. Why? Because last night, he said her name, and not just that. He remembered it. Lyra. 3 syllables. That was all it took to light something inside her. Later that day, Rook was summoned by the palace's high noble, Lord Vorthan. The alien was tall, cruel-looking, with gold wires running through his skin. His eyes glowed red, artificial, upgraded, for fear. He sat on his throne like a spider waiting for the web to shake. "Human," he said. "I've been told you spoke to the toy." Rook smiled. "You mean the girl?" A long silence. The guard shifted nervously. "She's not for talking," Vorthan said. "She's a symbol. She reminds the others of our power. Do you understand?" Rook tilted his head. "Yeah," he said slowly. "I understand exactly what she is." He didn't say more. He didn't need to. The temperature in the room felt colder after that. That night, Rook did something dangerous. He returned to the hallway near the grand hall, where Lyra always waited. He wasn't allowed there without an escort, but he didn't care. He waited behind a column, silent. Minutes passed. Then she appeared, escorted by 2 guards, her hands held behind her back in chains. Not for punishment, just for control. She looked tired, but she walked taller today. She was searching. He stepped out of the shadows. She froze. The guards turned and went for their weapons, but Rook moved faster. One quick strike. His elbow crushed the first guard's throat. The second raised his gun, but Lyra moved. She grabbed the second guard's wrist and twisted it. He screamed, surprised that she fought back. Rook slammed him into the wall. Both guards fell. Silence. Rook looked at her. That was fast thinking. Lyra's hands were shaking. She didn't speak. Then she whispered, "You came back." He nodded. She looked down at the guards. "You'll be punished for this." "I don't care." Her eyes widened. "They'll hurt you." "Let them try." They ran through the back halls. Rook knew the palace layout. He had memorized it. The first day. It wasn't just curiosity, it was instinct. The habit of a soldier. They stopped in a quiet chamber, a room full of old scrolls and ancient maps. No cameras, no guards. Safe, for now. She sat on the cold floor, breathing hard. Rook crouched beside her and handed her a piece of fruit. Something sweet, soft, meant for nobles, not slaves. She stared at it. "It's yours," he said. Her fingers trembled as she took it. She didn't cry, but her lips parted slightly like something inside her was trying to live again. He watched her eat. Not like a hero, not like a savior, just a man, watching someone remember what hope felt like. "Why did you come back?" she finally asked, her voice small but clear. "Because I've seen people like you before," he said. "And I didn't save them." She blinked. His voice got quieter. "I was a soldier, fought in their wars, saw what they did. Thought it wasn't my problem. Thought looking away would be easier." He looked at her now. "But I saw you. And this time, I didn't look away. Footsteps echoed nearby. Rook grabbed her hand. "We have to move." But Lyra froze. "What is it?" he asked. "I don't want to go back," she whispered. "We won't." "No," she said, shaking her head. "I mean, I don't want to go back to hiding." Rook understood. They didn't need to escape the palace. They needed to change it. Just then, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Someone had found the unconscious guards. Rook pulled Lyra close. "Time's up." He tapped a hidden device in his coat. A small box, smuggled tech. It blinked once, then faded. "What is it?" Lyra asked. "A gift I've been saving," he said. A rumble shook the walls. Then an explosion rocked the West Wing. Smoke rose into the air. Screams followed, not from Rook, from the nobles. "Stay behind me," he said. Lyra looked at him, not as a toy, not even as a protector, but as something else, a spark. And for the first time in her life, she smiled. They hurt her to punish him, and that was their first mistake. Smoke filled the palace. Screams echoed through the golden halls. Guards ran in every direction, shouting orders, confused by the blast. None of them could see the truth. This wasn't an attack from outside. It was a message. Rook had sent it, and he wasn't done. In a dark hallway behind the main chamber, Rook and Lyra ran fast. Her chains were gone. He had broken them minutes ago. Her wrists were red, but her steps were steady now. She wasn't a shadow anymore. She was waking up. "This way," Rook said, pointing down a hidden corridor. "No," Lyra said suddenly, stopping. "Wait," he turned. "What is it?" "There are others like me." He froze. "How many?" "I don't know. Dozens, kept in the lower chambers, locked in rooms. Some are sick, some don't speak." Rook's jaw tightened. Of course, they wouldn't keep just one toy. It was never just one. "We get them out," he said, no hesitation. "You'll be hunted for this," she said. "They'll mark you, torture you, maybe kill you." He smiled grimly. "They can try." But Rook had made a mistake. He had underestimated Lord Vorthan. The alien noble wasn't just cruel. He was watchful. And when he found the broken chains, in the hallway, when he saw the empty space where the girl used to kneel, he didn't scream, he didn't panic, he smiled. "Finally," he whispered, "the human axe." Rook and Lyra reached the lower levels of the palace, cold stone halls that smelled of rust and old pain. There were no lights here, only sounds, coughing, breathing, whimpers. One door creaked open. Inside, 4 figures, 3 women and 1 male, all alien, all thin, bruised and chained. Lyra ran to them. She knelt beside a young girl with broken horns and gently touched her hand. "They kept us in the dark," the girl whispered. "Not anymore," Lyra said. Rook scanned the locks. Too slow to break each one. He pulled out a pulse cutter. The device hummed, slicing through metal like paper. One by one, he freed them, and more doors opened. 13, 21, 30. The hidden truth of the palace was waking up. But freedom comes at a price. As they reached the surface, a wall of guards stood waiting. At their center, Vorthan, and beside him, held by 2 armored brutes, was Lyra. She had stayed behind. She had gone back for one last prisoner. They caught her. Rook stepped forward. His eyes narrowed. "Let her go," Vorthan laughed. "You think I didn't plan for this? You think I didn't see the fire in your eyes the moment you looked at her?" He lifted a long silver device, like a staff. It crackled with blue energy. "She is ours," he said. "She is nothing." He turned to her and struck her with the staff. The sound was like thunder. She dropped to her knees, gasping, the energy tearing through her nerves. She didn't scream, but her face twisted in pain. Rook didn't move. "Not yet." Vorthan smiled. You wanted to save a toy. Now watch her break. He raised the staff again. That was their first mistake. Rook moved faster than anyone expected. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He acted. A blade shot from his sleeve, thin, black, and humming with energy. He threw it, not at Vorthon, but at the power generator behind the guards. The explosion was instant. Darkness swallowed the room. Screams. Panic. Rook was already moving. He reached Lyra in seconds, cut down the guards, and caught her before she hit the ground again. She looked up at him, dazed. "You came," she whispered. "I never left," he said. He stood, holding her with one arm and a weapon in the other. Behind him, the freed prisoners were rising. Some picked up fallen weapons. Others just stared, but their fear was gone. Something stronger had replaced it. "Fire," Vorthon roared. "Kill them all!" The guards charged. Rook handed Lyra to a prisoner and whispered, "Get her out." Then he turned to face the enemy. One man, dozens of soldiers, but they didn't see the real threat. They didn't see what was behind him. Not just prisoners. Not victims. A rising army. And all of them were watching the human who didn't look away. In the chaos, Vorthon fled. He wasn't brave. He was powerful, yes. But deep inside, he feared one thing. A man with nothing left to lose. Rook fought like fire. He burned through the guards. He took hits, bled but didn't stop. Not until the last guard fell. The hall was silent. Then someone whispered, "We're free." Lyra stood up slowly. She walked to Rook and took his hand. Her voice shook. "They hurt me because of you." He nodded. "I know. They thought it would break us." He looked at her. "But they only broke themselves," she said. "They said she was property, until she chose to fight." The smoke had cleared. The guards were gone. Their bodies lay in the hallway, some unconscious, others broken. The prisoners stood in silence, free but unsure. Their chains were off, but their minds were still trapped. Years of fear don't disappear in a single night. Only one figure, moved with purpose. Lyra. She walked through the ruined hall barefoot, her steps slow but firm. Her back still ached from the pain stick. Her wrists still bled from the chains, but her eyes were awake now, and they burned. She stopped beside one of the fallen guards, one who used to kick her just for fun. She looked down at him. He groaned, barely alive. Rook stepped beside her. "We don't have to kill him." "I know," she said quietly. Then she looked at the other prisoners. "But we don't have to bow to him anymore either." Deep underground, Lord Vorthon was not running, he was plotting. This human, this slave girl. "They've started a fire," he growled. "But fire can be extinguished." He turned to his private guards, giant black-armored beasts with red visors. Not soldiers, enforcers. No mercy, no hesitation. He pointed at a screen, showing Lyra's face. "Bring her back. Alive." One of the enforcers raised a hand. And the human? Vorthon's eyes flashed. "Burn him." Back in the palace ruins, the freed ones were gathering supplies. Some still refused to speak. Others looked to Rook for orders, but he wasn't giving any. He wasn't their leader. He was watching Lyra. She was kneeling beside the youngest prisoner, a boy barely 12, trying to clean his face with a torn cloth. He looked at her and whispered, "They said we weren't real people." She nodded. They were wrong. He looked down. "Do I get to fight too?" She hesitated. Then she touched his shoulder. "You get to choose now." And that changed everything. That night, Rook found her alone near the burned window overlooking the city. The alien world outside sparkled with towers and lights. But it was all fake. The true face of the city was inside these walls, where people were bought, sold, and broken. "You don't have to keep going," he told her gently. "You've already done enough." She didn't turn. "They called me property. I know. For years I believed it." She looked at him now. "But today, when they came for me, I didn't freeze. I didn't beg. I moved. I fought back. I wanted to fight. He nodded. Because you're not a slave. I'm not, she said. Then she whispered, I'm angry. They came at dawn. Orthon's enforcers. Big. Cold. Machines in armor. No words. No emotion. The prisoners scattered, screaming. Some hid. Some froze. But Lyra did not run. She stood in the open courtyard, hands at her sides, heart racing. One enforcer stomped toward her, twice her height, holding a pulse whip. He raised it. She didn't flinch. The whip cracked. She ducked, grabbed a broken pipe, and struck. The pipe bent. The enforcer stumbled. Lyra roared, a sound no one had heard from her before. Rook saw it from above and froze. He didn't rush to save her. He didn't have to. She was saving herself. The courtyard exploded into chaos. Rook and the others joined in. But this time, they weren't protecting the girl, they were following her. Every strike she made was with years of rage behind it. Every move was wild, rough, but full of will. An enforcer grabbed her by the throat. She bit his hand. Blood sprayed. Another went. For her legs. She rolled, snatched his weapon, and shot him in the chest. The battle ended fast. Too fast. And when it was over, Forthon's machines were broken. Rook approached her, breathing hard. Lyra's face was smeared with dirt and blood. But her back was straight. Her eyes locked with his, and she said 4 words. I'm not their property. Rook didn't speak. He just bowed his head in respect, not pity, not sorrow. Respect. Because now, everyone in the palace, free or slave, human or alien, saw the truth. The girl who used to kneel was standing taller than them all. Far away, Forthan watched from a hidden room, face pale, hand trembling. She fought back. He whispered. A servant beside him asked, Shall we launch the attack, my lord? Forthan stared at the screen, where Lyra held a stolen weapon, and stared, straight into the camera like she could see him. Not yet, he said quietly. She's not just fighting anymore. He turned away. She's becoming a symbol. They called it a rebellion, but it was her war now. The palace was silent, not because the fighting had stopped, but because something bigger had started. Across the Empire's city, whispers were spreading like wildfire. The slave girl fought back. The human stood beside her. They beat the enforcers. She's still alive. Some said it was rebellion. Some said it was madness. But those who had seen her, really seen her, knew the truth. This wasn't just a fight anymore. This was her. War Lyra stood at the center of the ruined courtyard, her hands still shaking from the battle. Around her, freed prisoners stood waiting, some injured, all afraid. She looked up, not at the broken palace, at the sky, beyond the clouds. The satellites were still watching. Forthan was still watching. She raised her voice. He sees us now. Rook stepped beside her. What do we do? She turned to the others. Her voice was steady, loud. We show him he should be afraid. That night she held a meeting with the freed ones. In a cracked room with no roof, under stars that didn't belong to her, she stood on a broken pillar and looked down at dozens of faces. Aliens from all races, all ages, some shaking, some angry, some just tired. I know what they called us, she began. I know what they took. No one spoke. They didn't just take our bodies. They took our names, our choices, our hope. She lifted her chin. They thought we would stay broken forever. Then she held up a blood-stained collar, her own. And now, they're afraid. Someone gasped. She threw it to the ground. Not because we fight with weapons, but because we remember who we are. A young alien girl with silver skin stood up. What do we do now? Lyra's answer was simple. We make sure they never forget us again. The next morning, fires lit across the outer city, silent attacks, quick strikes. No civilians hurt, only slave camps, guard stations, and watchtowers. Lyra didn't kill unless she had to, but she made sure they felt it. Graffiti began to appear in the shadows of tall buildings. We are not property. She fights for all of us. The girl with fire in her eyes. Rook stayed close. He helped lead raids, trained fighters, and built safe houses. But even he saw the shift. They weren't following him anymore. They were following her. Meanwhile, deep in his black tower, Lord Vorthan raged. He slammed a crystal display against the wall. Why hasn't she been captured? She hides among the poor, my lord, his advisor said. They protect her. Vorthan sneered. Then burn the poor. The advisor hesitated. But she is becoming a symbol. Even the outer generals are questioning. Vorthan grabbed him by the neck and slammed him against the wall. Do you know what she is? He dropped the advisor, voice shaking with hate. She's not a symbol, she's not a hero. He stepped to the window, looking down at his burning city. She's my mistake. But Vorthan wasn't the only one watching. Far above the planet, aboard a hidden human scout ship, a commander stood watching the same broadcasts. Illegal feeds pulled from alien networks. His name was Commander Reich. His mission was simple. Observe. Don't interfere. Stay hidden. But now, he watched footage of a girl with bruised wrists knocking down an armored enforcer. He watched her give hope to the hopeless. She's one of ours? He whispered. No, sir, the tech replied. She's alien. The commander stared at the screen. Then why does she fight like a human? Back on the ground, Lyra stood at the top of a building staring at the lights of the city she had once only seen from a cage. Rook joined her. You lit a fire, he said quietly. She didn't smile. I didn't mean to. Doesn't matter, he said. They believe in you now. She turned to him. You believe in me? He met her eyes. I believed in you before you believed in yourself. She nodded once. Then, gunfire echoed in the distance. Flames rose from another tower. Rook turned, but Lyra didn't move. She whispered, They'll come harder now. He nodded. Yes, they'll bring monsters. She looked at him. Let them. Far beneath the palace, in secret labs hidden from public eyes, something dark was waking. Giant glass tubes bubbled with fluid. Inside, creatures built for pain. Grown in silence, kept for one purpose. One opened its eyes. The scientist beside it trembled. What are you? The creature grinned. I'm the end of hope. A screen lit up nearby. A single image. Lyra's face. And the words, terminate the spark. They unleashed a monster to kill her, but it feared her more than death. The city didn't sleep anymore, not since Lyra began fighting back. Slave camps had fallen. Broadcast towers had been hacked. Vorthan's soldiers were afraid to patrol, alone. But in the dark corners of the Empire, something worse than soldiers had been released. Not a machine, not a man, not even a soldier. It was a weapon. And it had only one target. Lyra. Far beneath the city, in a lab with no name, the weapon opened its eyes. Its skin was black like oil. Its arms had bone under steel, and its mind was cold. A scientist stood nearby, nervous. Do you understand your mission? The weapon turned its head slowly. Terminate the girl. Her name is Lyra. She's inspiring rebellion. She must be erased. The weapon didn't blink. I don't need a name. It stepped off the table, and the metal beneath its feet cracked. High above the street, Lyra sat alone. The city was burning in slow motion, bits of it falling apart. While the rest tried to rise, she knew what was coming. She could feel it. The others had hope now. They laughed, trained, built weapons. Some were even starting to sing again. But Lyra couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the cages. She heard the guards' laughter. She remembered the collar. She didn't want to be a hero. She just wanted to be free. That night, Rook found her standing near a damaged statue, an alien warlord from the old days. You okay? He asked. She didn't answer. He stepped closer. You know they're calling you something now? She turned slightly. He smirked. The spark. Lyra frowned. I didn't light anything. He shrugged. You didn't have to. They did it for you. She stared up at the broken statue. Symbols get killed, she said quietly. Rook looked serious now. So don't be a symbol. He met her eyes. Be the flame. The next day it arrived. No warning, no sound, no broadcast. It tore through a safe house, killed 7 people in under a minute, left no survivors. Only one message scratched into a wall in black ash. Where's the girl? Panic spread fast. Even the bravest among them began to shake. What is it? Someone whispered. A machine. A demon. Lyra said nothing, but deep in her chest, she felt it coming. Later that night, a call came in from the East Zone. Rook answered. The voice was weak, shaking. It's looking for her. It wants her. Who is this? Rook asked. A scream. Then silence. That same night, Lyra had a dream. She stood in her old cell, alone. The collar was back on her neck. She reached to remove it, but her fingers passed through it like mist. She looked up. Across from her stood herself, but different, stronger, colder, dressed in dark armor. Who are you? Lyra whispered. The reflection smiled. I'm what they want you to become. Lyra woke up gasping. The next morning, a child came running. They found the monster. Lyra and Rook followed the child to a burned-out alley. There it was. A survivor, barely breathing. His arm torn, his eyes wide with fear. Lyra knelt beside him. Who did this? The man's voice cracked. It didn't kill me. Rook frowned. What? The man whispered. It found me. Looked into my face. And then it said. His voice dropped to a whisper. You are not her. That night, Lyra made a decision. She left the base, alone. No weapons, no armor, no backup. She walked into the ruined center of the city, where the power lines sparked and the shadows were deep. And she waited, not for a hero, not for rescue, for it. It arrived at midnight, like a ghost made of knives, its red eyes locked on her from across the square. You are Lyra, it said. She didn't run, she nodded once. I am. It stepped closer. I was made to end you. She stood still. Why? So the Empire will forget you. Lyra took a breath. They won't. It tilted its head. You are afraid? She nodded. Yes, but I'm not running. The weapon stepped closer, raising a blade, then it stopped, looking at her, studying her. You are not what they told me, it said slowly. No, she replied. I'm worse. Silence. Then, something strange. The weapon lowered its blade. I don't want to kill you anymore. Lyra blinked. Why? The weapon's voice cracked. For the first time. Because I think I was a slave once too. Far away, Vorthon screamed into a screen. Why hasn't she been destroyed? The weapon didn't answer him, it just stared at Lyra. And for the first time, it chose. The Empire fell silent because one girl refused to bow. The city had stopped breathing. No sirens, no gunfire, no marching boots, only whispers. They had sent the weapon to kill her, and it didn't. Instead, it knelt. Inside the ruins of the UA old Senate Hall, Lyra stood across from the weapon. It had once been a machine of terror. Now it looked broken, not in metal, but in soul. I remember pain, the weapon said, before they erased my mind. Lyra nodded. They erased mine, too, but not all of it. They stood in silence. Then the weapon looked at her. What do we do now? Lyra looked up at the cracked ceiling. The stars beyond. We finish it. Across the Empire, news spread fast. The weapon disobeyed. The girl still lives. She's heading to the tower, the heart of Vorthon's power. A place no one had entered in years. Protected by walls of steel and rivers of fire. But Lyra was walking there now, step by step, with the weapon beside her, and behind them, thousands. Freed slaves, broken people, survivors, fighters, all marching toward the Empire's throne. In his command room, Vorthan watched the cameras. He saw the girl. He saw the crowd. He turned to his generals. Crush them. But the generals said nothing. One by one. They removed their medals, laid them down, and left. Vorthan screamed. But no one listened. Outside the tower gates, Lyra stood still. She looked at the guards. Some raised their rifles, but others dropped them. "I don't want your death," Lyra shouted. "I want your freedom. No threats, no lies, just truth." One by one the gates opened, and she walked through. Inside she found Vorthan waiting, alone. He still wore his black armor. His eyes still burned with hate. "So you've come to take my throne," he sneered. She shook her head. "I don't want your throne." "Then what do you want?" Lyra stepped closer. "To end this." Vorthan screamed and charged, blade raised. The weapon moved to stop him, but Lyra raised a hand. "No, he's mine." She dodged his first strike barely, rolled across the ground, grabbed a broken metal rod. He was faster, stronger, but he was angry and she was ready. The fight was brutal. He hit her. She fell. She hit back. He stumbled. They clashed near the throne, near the burning banners, near the bodies of his past victims. "You're just a girl," Vorthan shouted. Lyra stood, bleeding. "No," she said. "I'm all of them." She struck his leg, his wrist, his face. Until finally, he dropped the blade, and she stood over him. He looked up, panting. "Do it. Kill me." Lyra stood still. The weapon watched silently. Rook stepped in behind them. The crowd waited at the gate, and Lyra said, "No." She turned and walked away. "You don't deserve to be remembered. You deserve to be forgotten." Vorthan screamed, but no one heard him anymore. Later, when the sun rose, for the first time in 1,000 days, the city saw light. Real light. Lyra stood on a balcony. Below her, thousands of people cheering, holding torches, singing her name, but she didn't raise her fist. She raised the hand of the weapon, and then she called out, "This isn't my victory. This is our beginning." Across the stars, on human stations far away, the broadcast echoed. They saw her face, heard her words, and the human commander whispered, "She changed everything." Back on the planet, Lyra stood alone again for a moment. Rook found her there. "You could rule them," he said. She shook her head. "I don't want to rule. I just want to live." He smiled. "So live." She looked out at the crowd and whispered, "I think I finally am." And so the Empire didn't fall in flames. It fell, in silence, because the girl who was never supposed to rise refused to bow.